There's a podcast called Ukraine the Latest, which was created by David Knowles, who's at 32 years old died of a sudden heart attack in Gibraltar. I heard about his death. I was very shocked because I listened to that podcast a lot. And it turns out that British counter-terror police have been called in to look into the case. I'm Granniopteryx. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. I had a friend who was doing business in Russia. He had a successful business and then he suddenly died of a heart attack. Now, I always thought that death was suspicious. I do know for a fact, Konstantin, I've forgotten his name, the one who does Inside Russia, he said that it's very common practice for businesses to become successful and then for some Russian government official, usually from the FSB but it's not really important where they're from, they turn up and say, "Oh, I'd like to buy your business, I'll give you £10 for it," or else. That happened to the guy who was running Telegram, but it's happened to a lot, and that's why that Konstantin fellow who started a business in Russia said when he started the business, he was when the business was starting up, he wasn't worried about starting up the business. He was just trying to find ways to protect himself from that sort of action. Well, my friend was a stubborn sort of man. And if he'd have got some offer to buy his business out, then he would have refused it. And I think that's why he had the heart attack. And I do not believe that it was natural. David Knowles had a podcast he created called Ukraine the Latest. It did fleetingly occur to me that he was in Gibraltar and suddenly died of a heart attack. And I did wonder if maybe the same thing happened to him as happened to my friend in Russia. His wife, by the way, obviously didn't feel that safe either. She got straight out of there as soon as she'd buried the poor fellow. And then now I see counter-terror police from Scotland Yard are out there in Gibraltar investigating the death. So it looks like even the security services are have had the same thought. His message was mostly anti-Russian because he was talking about the Ukraine war and calling it a war, not a special military operation. And suddenly he goes on holiday and has a heart attack. And it's not that Putin's agents are not out there. Recently, one of the defectors from the army, a Russian who was a helicopter pilot and piloted his helicopter into Ukraine, he was shot in Spain. So it's not like this sort of thing doesn't happen. And of course, it's a dampener on freedom of speech because people are going to start thinking, well, should I criticise Russia? Because I don't know what, I may suddenly have a heart attack. And even if it was natural, the idea is out there, isn't it? All you need is one or two obviously engineered heart attacks. And any others are going to end up being ending up in that category, aren't they? He's only 32 at the time. And it's very sad because he had a lovely voice and a very clear way of expressing himself. I'm truly sorry about that. So this video is a tribute to him, but also a reminder that freedom of speech is under constant attack. even though we don't know exactly what happened with David Knowles. We know that the threats are there. But it's not just Putin's regime that's doing this sort of thing. You may remember a man who played a silly trick leaving, I don't know what, a ham sandwich or something on a mosque doorstep. He was sent to jail for that, and he lasted 6 months before he was found unresponsive in his cell. And I'm quite sure that was a cover-up, and that in fact he was murdered by some Muslim prisoner. I'm quite sure of that. So it's not just people like David Knowles who end up paying with their lives for freedom of speech. I was going to say the British government has a slightly more subtle way of doing it, but no, our government, the threat is just slightly different. That it's not subtle at all. Okay, till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.